disciplines which has a lot to teach us, especially if we want to experiment and learn more about participatory communication processes and ethnographic kind of exercises. In other words, if we want to move away from a pure counting to a more qualitative approach and understanding of reality, then we can borrow from ethnographic and anthropological approaches. But at the same time, I would continue highlighting the importance of sociology and political economy, because it's still the structure of what the power and the status of societies are about. When you look at more hands-on kind of approaches, then education and social work, community studies could play a role. And in order to wrap it up, the link to environmental studies is definitely also on the agenda. And to answer Oliver's question about global warming, may I remind us that the move towards a more alternative way of looking at development and social change, especially in Europe, was the first result of it was thanks to what was called in those days the Green Movement or the Green Parties, and they emerged somewhere in the 70s, early 80s, as an alternative, as a questioning of the mainstream kind of policy. So it's not something which is part of our recent discussion. It has been part of the emergence of that new perspective at all. And to put it in another kind of cultural framework, many religions, many philosophical perspectives, they emphasize that we as human beings should live in harmony with nature, and that's definitely a challenge we have to face with global warming, not only ahead of us, but all over us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, the first question I understood from the female section is somehow, how do we know that we change so many thousands of years, things have been the same? The question is, or it was a response to my thesis that social change is how we think things are changing. Well, I think change is somehow a principle of life, and change is a principle, of course, of society, even if we still are always confronted with the same question, which is the sense of life. It is somehow the destination of human being to be undefined. And the only instrument and the only possibility to find some definition of what we are and why we are and what sense it makes what we do is communication. We have, as I said again, we have no other protocol. And by communication, we are changing what we experience. And the cultural theory has a lot of answers to that in the cultural history. Let me just line out one. There's somehow a process of changing the society and changing the existence of human being in its environment, in its social and cultural and symbolic environment. And the cultural theory is defining 4 different steps. The first step of being confronted with the environment is the flee. If I get confronted with someone I do not know, the first reaction, maybe the inner reaction, is to flee. We can see it in the phylogenetic, but also in the ontogenetic development. The next step, the theory says, is not to flee yourself, but to bring others to flee. It's fight. Yeah? But still, this is not enough to come along with the environment, with the cultural and social environment. So the human being developed another quality, which is called delegation. If we do not know how to decide, we delegate it to the authorities or to the scientists or to the justice or whatever. And there's another level, a next level, which is called compromise. We know we have to come to an agreement, and coming to an agreement, we also have to live together and to be in a society somehow. So we have to know that what we think is real is an agreement of what is real. Communication is the construction of reality. And maybe there's still some step we have to do, or we are somehow in it, which is called dialectic. We have to learn that communication is not only a model of consens, it is a model of different. If we talk together, I learn from you if I know what is your position, and you learn what is my position. So the difference, finding out what is the difference of our perspectives, that maybe is then the factor of communication. This is one model. Another model by Wilhelm Flusser, he says the change is when we try to observe the change, the social change, it is somehow an increasing abstraction. He's explaining it by the photograph. We are making photos and we say this is, and this is. But everybody knows making a photo means we just we simulate something. We simulate a family, friendship, or whatever. So we are coming from one step of abstraction to the next. And we do this, he says, because we are facing the finiteness of life. And the communication is somehow the art trick to forget that we are facing the end of all what is living, and the sense of living is to have an end. It would not be alive if it would not. An endless life is not alive in our cultural understanding. So communication as the art trick to get along with this knowledge is that we try to find steps of getting to distance to what we experience as a reality. And this is somehow a way of delegation. So these are cultural models of making understanding that the way how we think the society, how we think ourselves, changes the reality or changes what we do. It's in short one question out of, let me say, communicology. And to the second question from Jack, how do we know what we know, or how do we not know what we not know? So, communication is somehow an intrinsic knowledge. I try to understand it somehow in a let me say, we have a vertical understanding. We have somehow an idea of what is communication, and we realize what is communication. In order to find out when